Jenna and today I am filming my wrap-up for the Booktube-A-Thon 2018. I managed to read 5 books, watch 1 book-to-movie adaptation, which means I completed 5 of the 7 challenges. I'm actually pretty happy with this. I had kind of a busy week last week, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. There were only 2 books I didn't get to. That was Autobiography and Prince Caspian, so I did not get to the Read a Book with a Beautiful Spine or the Read 7 Books challenges, which is a little upsetting, but I did manage to finish the first 5 challenges, which is awesome! So the first book that I finished for the Booktube-A-Thon and the book that I read for the Let a Coin Toss Decide Your First Read challenge was The Perfectionist by Sarah Shepard, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. So The Perfectionists follows a group of 5 girls, all of which have seemingly perfect lives on the outside, and they're trying to keep their perfect reputation intact. However, at a party, they decide to pull a prank on a senior called Nolan, who has done nothing but terrorize them and make theirs and everyone else's lives a living hell. They decide to pull this prank, however, when Nolan turns up dead, they are now suspects in his murder and they need to try and figure out who it is that's framed them, otherwise their perfect reputations will come crumbling down. This is the author of Pretty Little Liars. This is a new series from her, and honestly, it was so freaking good. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, a lot more than I thought I was going to. I really identified and loved each and every one of the characters. I thought they were all so fantastic. They really do show how while someone can look perfect on the outside, they can be crumbling on the inside, and that what you see is not always who someone is. The plot itself, with the murder and the mystery and trying to figure out who did it, that was so much fun to get to read, and it was also kind of frustrating because we don't actually get an answer in this book. We have to read the sequel to find out, but the book also ends on a cliffhanger where you kind of think you know what's going on, and then the cliffhanger happens and you're like, whoa, I have no idea what's happening, and I really love that when books can do it, so I thoroughly enjoyed this one. The second book that I finished for the Booktube-A-Thon and the book that I read for the second challenge, which was Read a Book About Something You Want to Do, was Joyride by Guy Adams, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. For the challenge Something I Want to Do, I really want to go to Coal Hill Secondary School, which is the fictional school in this book, but also I just want to live and go to school in London. I just want to live in London. So I know that's not exactly what the challenge meant, but that's how I interpreted it and that's what I went with. Joyride is the first of 3 Class novels. Class was a spin-off on BBC, spinning off of Doctor Who, and followed a group of secondary students at Coal Hill Secondary School who find they have consistent run-ins with aliens. The best thing about this book was that because it was from the TV show, it really felt like I was watching an episode of Class but reading it. So I really got to see the characters. The characters were as they would have been on TV, which is something that I really love. I love that the characters were true to who they were on the show. The plot is definitely something that I feel like could have happened on the show, which is something really great, and I just really thoroughly enjoyed this book. The third book that I read for the Booktube-A-Thon and the book that covered the challenge Read and Watch a Book-to-Movie adaptation was The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. So I read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and absolutely loved it. It is one of those books that I could read 1,000 times over and never get bored. It's also one of those childhood books that I think everyone should read. It has really lovable, memorable characters. The plot, while in itself, when you actually really think about it, is super simple, it's also full of this incredible imagery, incredible messages, and just it's all around a fantastic book. I watched the Disney version, the 2005 Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and wow, that movie is so good. It is the definition of, in my opinion, it's the definition of a perfect adaptation. It was fan-freaking-tastic. I haven't watched it in years, but I could still recite a lot of the lines, and I was crying, especially the opening scene. The opening scene with that music, with the London bombings, where the kids are running to the bomb shelter. I'm just like, this actually happened in real life, and that I think is one of the reasons why I'm just like, wow, my heart can't handle it. Also, one of the really cool things about the adaptation is obviously The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe is not a long book, and when you read it, a lot of stuff kind of gets skimmed over, like the big battle at the end. Actually, a lot of that gets skimmed over, but you read in the book about Edmund cutting the wand in half. You read that in the book and then you get to see it in the movie, and that's something that I really loved. The fourth book that I finished for the Booktube-A-Thon and the book that I read for the challenge of Read a Book with Green on the cover was Losing Brave by Bailey Madison and Stephanie Miller, and I still haven't decided what I want to rate this one, but it's looking like it's going to be a 2.5 out of 5 stars. So the thing about Losing Brave is I was super excited to get my hands on it because it sounded like a really awesome read. It's by Bailey Madison, or at least she had a hand in it, and I really wanted to give it a go. So Losing Brave is all about a girl named Peyton whose twin sister Dylan disappeared 1 year ago at a bus stop. Peyton is trying to navigate her life and is trying to figure out the mystery of what happened to her sister. As more clues are discovered, Peyton is kind of drawn further into this mystery and further into herself to really discover what happened that day. That was sort of all I kind of knew going into the story, and I just within like the first 2 pages, this girl, I think she's meant to be like 16 or 17, she calls her parents mama and daddy, and I'm just like that makes me so uncomfortable. She's like 17, yeah, 16, 17, and she's calling her dad daddy, and I'm like, this makes me feel uncomfortable. Her explanation was that if she didn't do it, she'd be called out for rejecting her southern roots. So if anyone lives in America down south, can you please tell me if this is a real thing, because it made me super uncomfortable while reading. I found a typo in almost every single chapter, so I'm convinced this book never had a copy editor. That made me uncomfortable. And just the entire 3rd act and just the entire ending of the book just was so poorly done. I don't know, I was really disappointed in this book. I'm thinking of making like an actual book talk on it because I have so much to say. I kept messaging my friend Emily the entire time being like, so this just happened, and she kept replying with like, WTF? What? How is this even published? So I'm leaning towards like a 2.5 because while it was not the most amazing book, I did really enjoy reading it. You know how sometimes you can read a book that's not very good but like really enjoy it because it's so bad? This was one of those books. And then the 5th and last book that I read for the Booktube-A-Thon, and the book that I read for the challenge of read a book while wearing the same hat, was The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. This is the 3rd book chronologically in the Chronicles of Narnia series, and it doesn't follow any of our lovable Sons of Adam, Daughters of Eve. It follows a boy named Shasta and his horse named Bree. It's a good book. I do enjoy it, but it's definitely not my favorite Chronicles of Narnia book. I only gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I do struggle with it, I think, because it doesn't have as memorable characters, not as much happens, and it's just kind of dull. And there you have it. Those are all of the books that I read in the Booktube-A-Thon. I also wrote down how many pages of everything I read each day, so I'm gonna walk you through that. So on the first day, Monday the 30th of July, I read 72 pages of Found by Fleur Ferris. So I finished that book that day. That was at like midnight, so I still count it as pages, but not really. I then read 267 pages of The Perfectionists. I read the entire book in one day, and 42 pages of Joyride. Tuesday the 31st of July, I read 219 pages of Joyride, 65 pages of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Wednesday the 1st of August, I read 20 pages of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and 64 pages of Losing Brave. Thursday the 2nd of August, I read 23 pages of Losing Brave. Friday the 3rd of August, I read nothing because by that point I was like, Losing Brave, what are you doing? Saturday the 4th of August, I read 260 pages of Losing Brave and 53 pages of The Horse and His Boy. And then on Sunday the 5th of August, I read 51 pages of The Horse and His Boy, and I watched The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe movie. So all in all, a successful Booktube-A-Thon. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below if you have read any of these books and what you thought. I would absolutely love to know. If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Stay random. Bye.